to the collaboration between all of the areas throughout the Southside community. With that being said, we did bring some things that are going on at the center. I don't have a whole lot of copies of actual flyers, but feel free to take what I have and
If we need, I can make some.
cool. So we've been doing monthly pancakes on Saturdays. Those dates are on here. We make pancakes, we have coffee, conversation, hang out. We're just looking for different opportunities for the community, just come down and hang out, really, and just further the conversation of what everyone's looking for and what they would like of us. Also share updates on projects coming up. Tomorrow night, we're showing Malcolm X down at the amphitheater. That's what that is. It looks like Sekou gave some of these out. While we're looking for what the community is wanting and wanting to use the facility for, we decided to start this open community nights. We have a bunch of different stuff down there. We can set up computers if you need to do stuff on the computers. Print stuff off for you. We also have video game stations, and because we have the stage, if you want to come and do some dances or whatever, or you want to use one of our back rooms and let's say, somebody that's holding a book club in their house. Let us know. Bring it down the center. If you're having a meetup, whatever. That's what we want to be here for. We have also on Thursday mornings from 9 to 11 started a coffee and conversation. Again, looking to get to know everyone and let you all get to know us and what we're about. And I also brought some things for the projects. So obviously, or hopefully most of you know, we'll start the Grant Center construction project soon. I'll have more information on that timeline next week. We're still in the pre-construction meetings. And the timeline depends on what the contractors can get a hold of, really. We're kind of tied by that right now. So hopefully I have more of a solid timeline next week. Right now they're saying to do the groundbreaking late spring, early summer. Again, I will give you all the information as I get it, as soon as I get it. And on these, there's also these QR codes. This will take you directly to the project page. The city of Asheville and the Parks and Recreation Department as a whole are really trying to do better about keeping our website up to date. And so they're keeping this project page up to date. And if you see anything, if you're on this page, you're like, well, Jessica said this, you let me know if something's not right. I'm going to be checking it as well. And then I'm going to let Alec go into the rest. Thank you all. I also have some business cards if anyone wants to get in touch with us. Just come and grab whatever.
Hello, everybody. As Jessica said, my name is Alec Lynn. I'm facility supervisor down at the Grant Center. We're super excited to be a part of this process with everyone. I want to say thank you for having us here tonight. But to go along, trying to finish up what she was talking about. So along with the Grant Center having a lot of updates and stuff coming in the near future, we are also trying to do some things for walkmanship as well. We are starting the process of connecting with the community, really trying to restart a process of connecting with the community on the Walton Street project. So the updates that will be going on at Walton Street. Those updates are going to come directly from the community. We are going to try our best and get as much as we can to the community that they are asking for within the budget that we have. So information about that is again on these flyers. You scan this QR code. You can go to the project page if you need that information. Go ahead and let you all know that we have $500,000 for Walton Street. Many of you may know, in the big scheme of things, it's not a lot of money. Right now, we have it, so we're going to try our best to give you all what they want for that. We also brought down tonight, and I'll pass these out after I do some ways that you all would like to be communicated by us. So you all just fill this out. You add your email address, phone number, text message, whatever way you want to be contacted about Walton Street. We're going to try to make that point. Okay? So any meetings that we have during public meetings, any events we want to share with you all, we're going to try to send it out to you the way that you want it to be sent out to you. Okay? So I'll pass these out. If you have any questions or concerns, anything like that, again, I have business cards. Please stop by the center at any time or go over there. For the most part, until 6, one of us is there. So yeah, thank you for having us again. I look forward to doing this training.
And on the back of on the second page of this one, so this is a paper copy. Please feel free to use paper copy. That's completely fine. We also have a code on the back that'll take you straight to the Google form if you would like to do it electronically. Whichever way works.
Y'all can fill it out tonight, hand it back to us tonight. Y'all can fill it out tonight, and come down to the Grant Center and give it to us tomorrow or Monday or Tuesday. Or at your own leisure, or whatever, you can scan this QR code on the back, fill it out online, and it will automatically send it to us. Okay? Yes.
So do y'all have the contact information, when you were down there in the groups? So for like a couple of years ago.
For Walton Street, yeah, we do have that. We have the what everyone was looking for, and a lot of that will base the conversation, and that'll be shared when we're doing this direct engagement. Absolutely, and on behalf of the city, all I can do is apologize that we're coming back to this, and we're redoing it. We're really trying to make it right and make it different this time. And all I can do is promise you that. And I don't make promises loosely. So,
Y'all ever have questions, concerns?
Yeah.
Again, please do not hesitate to reach out to myself or Jessica about the Grant Center or about Wall Street, whichever. Y'all are more than welcome to come down to the center, and we can sit in the office and chat for however long you want to about anything. Okay, so we want to be completely upfront, transparent, and honest with you all with this process. Because we know the city as a whole has not always been that way. We're really trying to right that wrong. Okay? So I appreciate you all for any input that you have.
I have a question, because I know I can't indicate, I apologize, but can you give us some clarity what you're talking about as far as the stuff walking the street? Parking, because we got other people here. Don't understand what you're talking about.
So I don't think we got into the agenda yet. We were just giving some updates. It's to say who wants to give us some time allotted for that, we'd be more than welcome to talk about that. Or after this meeting, if you want to talk to us, we'll be more than happy to answer the other questions.
we were kind of a last minute kind of add, there are still in there, so.
And it's connected to what we were just talking about wanting to engage the community around what's happening. This is providing space in this meeting to talk about what could that look like? And how can we ensure that we get the maximum number of community members to share their input into the process. So that's the deal. I do want to say the food is ready. We have primarily chicken plates. There are 3 salmon plates. As well, we got the kids and the child care takers taken care of first. So there's some plates left. Please get yourself some food, some drinks. There's hand sanitizer over there and cutlery. If we could just get a meal and bring it on back to the table, we'll get started with the meeting.
Yeah, people talking to us more. Take a view.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. And I'll hold on to the copies and give you back the originals.
Yep.
Are you not having dinner?
What's that, dear?
Are you not eating?
I am making that.
Okay.
Absolutely. Well, I know you got these. You have one. You have it. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I got plenty. Okay, okay. All right, so, please continue meeting. I hope the meeting usually does outstanding job. So hopefully everyone is pleased with their meal. I wanted to share a couple of other updates that have just come through to our group email. Right now, this is an email from the assistant project manager on Reparations Neighborhood Association. This email came, I think it was either earlier this morning or yesterday. And it says, this email is a follow-up for the neighborhood nomination cover form for the Reparations Neighborhood Association representatives. The neighborhood nomination cover form was due back yesterday with your recommendations for your neighborhood representatives for this process. If you could get this completed and back to us ASAP, we would greatly appreciate it. As always, if you require assistance, have any questions, please let us know. We're here to assist you. That's Solomon Merritt, Assistant Project Manager. So this is about nominating someone from our group to be a part of the reparations committee. And so there are sort of city at large individuals, and then each of the historic neighborhood associations, Shallow, Burton Street, Southside, East End, all get the opportunity to nominate their selections. And so what we are needing, it looks like, is at least one person who would be willing to fulfill that role. And I know that some of y'all have been in conversations about the reparations committee, but it doesn't look like there's been anyone from our group to apply to that particular spot. Question, thoughts, comments?
For the Southside area, you know, it's going to be three.
So I know that there were people who were intending to apply for the citywide process. I don't know what the status of that is, but I think when we had that call with Brenda, she said that there was nobody from our group or from the folks that have been showing up that actually had completed the application. And then this is also a secondary way to ensure that a person that we specify is nominated for the group, and that has not been done either. So there's opportunity for an individual or individuals who want to be part of this conversation to be included in the conversation. I just wanted to share that information.
Yesterday, the city council did interviews. I think the city gets 5 people from that level. City council, the county gets 5 nominees. I think the county is going through their process this week. The city went through its process. I think there were 15 individuals. I think you were part of the interview yesterday. So I guess they're gonna narrow that process down to everybody for city council. So it still leaves.
I think at least one, possibly two. So I mean, I think we nominated as many who are interested. If you haven't put in an application and you are interested in applying, I would say that now is the time. I printed out a couple of copies of the application. If you want to just fill it out here and or just take it with you, or I can email you the application or whatever. Is there anyone that's interested in following up on this? If anyone else feels like they want to, please let me know, or send an email or whatever. Okay, so are there any other just sort of general updates from things that are happening community-wise? I know that what the other thing I wanted to have this part of the meeting be for is that at times there will be representatives from the city, representative from Asheville Police Department, other city officials that might come through and share updates about what's going on either at the council level or at the administrative level. Does not appear like we have any folks like that today. We do have some guests from ABCCM. I don't know if there was anything in particular that you wanted to share. You're just popping out for to keep abreast of what's going on. Would you mind introducing yourselves, please?
They're also our neighbors, and they had some concerns about our traffic and things that are happening in the community. So I invited them to come in.
Okay.
And be a part of it.
Okay, good. Absolutely, absolutely. And we hope that we'll get this continued participation. As has been said before, one of the goals and purposes of this organization is to provide a forum for communication between residents in the community and elected officials of government so that they can address the concerns of community residents like yourselves. So the next thing I wanted to move into to keep us on the agenda was to talk a little bit about the work group. So at our last meeting, we identified some work groups, some responsibilities that individuals are going to tackle in between meetings to keep things moving along. And so this is a space to just provide that opportunity for updates. So we had the team of Ms. Whiteside and Dr. Grant looking at vision, mission, and bylaws. We have Ms. Whiteside is looking at mailings and a means of communicating with the community. There was going to be a youth group of Sheriff Miller, Ms. Whiteside, and Ms. Mildred. Mr. Harris on food security. Public safety was Ms. D, Ms. Mildred, and Sheriff Miller. And then community engagement was Ms. Mildred, Keita, and Ms. Whiteside.
Lord, I'm tired of hearing my Oh, I'm tired of hearing my name.
Well, we got a whole bunch of names that have not been called, so please feel free. But if there are any of those of you who are on these work groups, if you've got an update that you want to share, now is definitely the time to make that known.
Well, Ms. Whiteside and I are not concerned with this. I'm assuming it's going to take some bylaws that they have a budget with the organization. And tweaking the videos on the chart, maybe ready to draft. I have not done anything already.
And I was trying to look at our vision, where we have outlined for unity. I went back. Is this from the chart when Trace,
Yes.
Trace was here?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm trying to look at the vision and then we can email each other and tweak it. But pulling from here, and I looked at other visions, and then I looked at other community organizations here in Asheville. And I just want to make sure I was on the right track, for these are the things that we said. I know we want to have a safe community, unity, resiliency, and one organization put in charity. Do we want that in our mission statement? Do we want to do things that will help the community? Okay. But what I'll do, and then I'll get with Dr. Grant, because I know, and I saw the minutes, but we didn't get together. So we will communicate. And I have some samples of bylaws. And there's also a toolkit that I found online that you can go in and type. So we'll get together. But I just want to make sure I had the right information to build our vision. And one organization just had a vision, but they didn't have a mission statement. And then from here, we can pull, not goals, but what is it? No, haven't seen the moment. The adjectives that represent our community, like,
Like values and everything.
yeah, values, that's it. Yeah, so we can, that's it. So, and I've been looking, so they have vision, mission, and values. Do we want all three? Value just,
If we begin to develop a vision, we just thinking something out of what we can try to remember. Seems like a meeting discussion.
I'm sorry, what was,
Or
I didn't get the first part of what you were asking.
did we not begin to develop a vision statement?
I don't know that we
No.
developed, worked on a statement. What we did and what Ms. Whiteside is
Yeah.
referring to was just, we shared ideas, themes, concepts that were important to those of us, and that was captured on a flip chart. And then that's what Ms. Shirley is talking about.
shared in a Google document that's shared with them.
it's in the September meeting and the
That's
October
what
notes.
I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's in both, the same thing is repeated, because I went back to double check. So if you go to Google Docs, you'll find the same information and notes. And this is what we did in group meeting, then we came together. So I just want to make sure this is what we should be going by from the group. So it won't be like I'm just putting something together, it's what the group wanted. Okay.
That's good. Thank you. Any updates or report outs from any other work groups or any other relevant activity in the community?
Public safety.
Yes.
Do you want to speak, Lee?
Okay, I was just gonna say, I am still waiting on information back from the city on the speed common situation over here.
I have that answer.
You have it, you got it.
Is that it?
Yeah, that was it.
Kim Putnam called this morning. After Mr. Thomas talked here, I called Kim Putnam again, this week. There is a project in the works for Livingston Street. I don't know, and he said he couldn't tell me right at the moment what that project would entail. But he did say there is a project in place and they're working on it. And he also said that he's gonna do a speed study on Livingston and on Gaston because, my neighbor's car was hit last week on his car. And so we filled out this report, he filled out this report, called APD, and then I reported it to the city. So that is in place. I haven't heard anything else, but as I hear, I will keep it, group abreast. Also, community engagement. I have not spoken to Ms. Whiteside or Keith. So we have not worked on that yet. Backing up also to public safety, the sheriff is supposed to be here, and I'm not sure if he's gonna run in the next few minutes or so. But, the sheriff and myself have talked about possibly cameras in the community. I think he's gonna reach out to the Grant Center about some cameras, to try to curtail some of this, crime and so forth. I know he's looking at putting some in the Walton Street Hall. I don't know what the cost will be, that's something that will have to be discussed with him. But, that's where we are with that. Public engagement, Ms. Whiteside and Keith. Again, we will need the mailing labels. Did you get them?
No,
Okay.
So what I shared is a spreadsheet that has the names and the emails of everyone, and then it also has
Okay.
some phone numbers. I haven't finished populating because most of the phone numbers, most of y'all's numbers are in my phone. Some of these were numbers that were like put on a registration form. But that's the document that
I
can
did,
start.
okay, I did get it, and it looked like it's the people here who are here tonight. But I thought we were gonna try to expand it to get as many
members in our community to
Well, I
be
thought that was
involved.
something the city was gonna give us, that information of all the.
Brenda did say that she had a list. We might want to follow up with her for when she does her, her mailings or whatever. But I mean, it's up to us to grow. We're starting off with that core list of the people who've been coming to these meetings. We need to add to that list, people that might not, people that y'all know that might not have been to a meeting, neighbors, family members or whatever. The list needs to be added to, for
And
sure.
I'm gonna call the city of Ashland and ask for a billing list. And also, what we need to remember, that we are not only inviting people that are in housing, but we're inviting the entire neighborhood.
Right, and that's what I was talking
But
about.
how many people you step out and say, "Oh, look at me." And every time we hear housing, they forget about John Street. We always forget about John Street. I don't understand that, and that's a part of housing. So again, I guess we need to look at our boundaries, and we need to reach out to everyone. And I mean, you know, we have positions on the street that we haven't invited. ABCCM, Grant Center, Greens Mini Mart, we have businesses as well that we need to, you know, we have churches. So, you know,
Those are all, I think, yes, and those are all the responsibility or the goals of the engagement team, coming up with a strategy so that when the meetings are announced, these different people know about it. Keita?
Actually, right there on my left.
That's good to know. Thank you. And what,
about community engagement and youth, and I was trying to tie both of those in together. If we can get when we get them to some of these meetings, they can be out on the street.
absolutely,
So that's another thing we need to try to do.
absolutely.
Yeah, I need to ask a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Looking at the notes, it said you 18 to 30 something, wouldn't that be considered young adults? Okay, because there's a difference, so we need to decide on the age.
I think
When
it's
we
also
say
important to figure out who's the one that's determining the years.
We need to decide on the age, say 12 on up to 18.
Yeah, yeah.
12 to 18, we're gonna consider that youth.
And at the same time, and yes, so I
Then
think
young
that's
adults.
exactly, because I think the general concern is that when we have these meetings, they more often than not tend to have our more seasoned residents present. And the concern is, that's great, but these folks have been doing the work for generations and decades. We need the new generation to step in and be present.
Right.
Where are they? So yes, it does start with the teenagers and the 21-year-olds, but there's also 30 and 40-year-olds that are out there that have a lot to contribute, that haven't always felt welcome in this space. And so that's definitely something that we want to go about doing differently.
Put them in another category.
For sure, for sure. Right on. So I also just want people to know that there's a saying I heard a while ago that I really believe in, is that community moves at the speed of trust, right? And so we're talking about bylaws and mailing lists and strategies. It's a lot of stuff. And yes, it is a lot of stuff. And there's a lot of things going on in the community. And the sooner we get things done, the better. At the same time, we can only go as fast as we can go, right? So please don't feel stressed or pressured because you got a million other things going on and you didn't have an opportunity to get together. That's fine. We coming together once a month and we're going to do what we got to do and keep things moving forward. But it's just really, it's really important that we don't overextend ourselves, because that's something that's really detrimental and painful to our community. So many of us, well, ain't nobody else going to do it, so I do it. Next thing you know, Miss Shirley, your name's on like 20 committees.
I must have been dreaming.
Right
But
on.
one thing, I would like to say, I don't know what they plan to do for Juneteenth, if they're gonna do it over in the park. But if we could do, maybe on Friday or Sunday, that could be a way to bring our community together. And I'm working, with a group, that we can involve the youth where they can do art and, poetry and other things. And then we could get the jazz band to play and have a community engagement. And maybe that would be a good time to bring our other neighbors in that haven't been coming, to get them to come out. So if they do something over there at Martin Luther King Park, maybe we could plan ahead. So we could have something, either the week before.
I think they're already starting to think about Juneteenth,
Mhm.
so we might need to tap into that. They started last year.
Oh, okay. So maybe we could come up with, well, Mother's Day is not a good time, because that's when they have a lot of graduations, people going out of town. But we remember we did it in July one time. We can be working on a big community engagement.
Yeah. I know. Okay. Well, yes, sir.
Food security. Most of you do.
Take away the food, bring in alcohol.
We're right there on, yeah.
Okay, and next thing is the Southside Community Garden Snack Farm. Southside Community Garden, we'll kick it off the season. A little bit more, and Cape Brewer, Cape Garden National, flowing with consistency. It was second more leadership. The garden is Smash Farm, so. And with the food, so it's a different thing. Like, growing stuff for yourself. Farming, growing stuff not only for yourself. You got a plan? Set your plan. See that plan. But it will, the garden is moving into. They're gonna be planning on having market days in the parking lot. Maybe down at Green's Mini Mart. A lot of it was last year, we had 3 of them. And they invited my pop. Tell me, people to come, and they came and it was part of the community. It's almost like they get first deal to tell me opportunities. We will continue, and I think the grant ceremony pancakes. So pancake, what is a particular thing,
Saturday on
Saturday? What's the one on Saturday? Okay. Hopefully, last year we started something called Sunday evening dinners out in the garden. Fourth Sunday. And this year we're going to start fourth Sunday dinner. And so we have an opportunity to lead it up to them, because unfortunately they have to come back for to do around, they were already here on Saturday, so it's tough. So the garden part is taking a step up. The market days is like one. You're out there talking about. Also the idea is get more, the range minimum to have more fresh produce in their place. How that's gonna work. What we will and pancakes.
Thank you. Any other questions for any of the folks that have shared out reports or anything thus far?
I'd like to say something to add to the garden. The garden has been around for a while.
5, 6 years.
6 years. Been there day one, and still there. I tell you what, really, it's really saddening. It's really disheartening to me. When we put in a lot of work in the garden. And the garden is a community garden. And I think we tried to put more out into the community and maybe we could. I think this group that we have here, come forward input into what it is that we share. What's disheartening to me is when we grow food in the garden, and I watch that food. I know about it now, gardening. I didn't know much about it other than from my aunt. She had a great garden. She grew anything, so it became natural for me to go there. But I learned so much from the people that started. I learned about when plants go to seed, what they look like. So to watch vegetables that the community can eat and put food on the table for the kids. To watch it go to seed. I watched so much spinach go to seed out there in that garden. And I tried to literally come up and pick it out. Because I said, well, if nothing else, I can pick it. And I know what to do with it, store it, have it somewhere. But I mean, just to be out there and and I mean, it got so bad where it was growing so fast that I would take and cut the seeds off the top and still try to save the spinach, cabbage. I go out and I do what I needed to do to blanch it, cut it off, cut it off. And where worms also they would blossom back out, bloom back out, and someone else could come in and maybe get that head and take it home and cook it, family or what. But I watched that food go to waste. I watched a lot of food in that garden go to waste. So we need to do something about getting information out into the community about that this is your garden.
I think we're working on the mobile way to get it into the community. It's kind of like how the vegetable truck used to come around back in the days and into the community. So we're trying to figure out a mobile way to when that stuff is harvested, how can we get it into the community?
And it's good about it. And that's good about it being harvested by them. But we need to get our kids into that garden so that they can learn about, where food comes from. Because I mean, who's to say you don't never know? I mean, this ain't guaranteed that the way the world is right now, society, it ain't no guarantee it's gonna be around here. But you might want to know how to put something in the ground and bring it up.
Can I ask a question? Is it a possibility that after this food is harvested, that we could take some to ABC? And we have 2 neighborhood nursing homes in our association. Could we not get food to them as well? We not accept vegetables.
Well, we want to make sure we give it to the community and whatever.
Say again, then?
Well, we have a lot of elderly folks in the community here. That's why we're trying to figure out a mobile way to get it into the community. So once it's harvested, then we will, get this area. Then if there's some more left, then we go to other.
What does C say? You never know. They are.
Okay, but it's sitting back there. It's not coming from behind the building. So we need to get it from back behind the building and bring it out here on Front Street. So mobilizing it and bringing it out into the community. So if I have to put it in my car and go around and blow my horn and I got free vegetables. Because everybody can't get up here to get it.
I'm just saying, the involvement, the adults are responsible for their mistakes. They walk up and down the street, people walk up and down the street. I had people come up and they say, wow, what are you growing there? And I said,
children. We're talking about the children. When we first started the garden, and make this fast, when we first started the garden, you know, there was kids everywhere, tours coming out. I remember the kids coming in, talking to them, and they learning about it. And then all of a sudden, they just kind of disappeared.
So we're working on, we got a kid program, and I just, and Charlotte to your daughter. So our Sunday program, we have, that we work with youth, like a youth entrepreneurship program, so that they can do art or some type of value added product that comes out of the garden. So when we have an overflow of tomatoes, they may be able to create a salsa or something that can be bottled up and sold, you know? And so we're working with these kids on Sundays. And now that we have room to bring in more kids, you know, and they can earn and learn while working in the garden.
So is it a sign up sheet for that?
So,
You know, ask you about that, we don't know how to get that information. Just like you were saying, like you want more kids to be involved in that garden. Okay, so what can we do to attract them? Can we put in like some?
so on Sundays from 2 to 4.
2 to 4?
Somebody will get this information out, the same way they got this flyer, colorful, big wording, and just to get it out in the community, walk door to door, that's all you have to do.
Yeah, the door-to-door part is probably the only thing that really hasn't been done, because there were flyers that were put right out front for when folks come to pick up the kids. This was back in like November. And, you know, so there was work that was done to try and get the word out. However, I know that one of the biggest challenges is getting it to everybody and getting it deeper into the community. So again, that's the reason why the engagement committee is important, to look at how do we work on effectively getting the word communicated to folks. Is it like you create a phone tree, and I call one person and they call 2 people and they call 2 people, you only got to make 2 calls, but at the end of the day, 50 people done been called. So that's another way to look at how to get the word out. But, you know, the responsibility and effort begins in that space, in this space rather, in terms of taking responsibility to figure out how do we get the word out to people.
So I'm thinking that we have 2 centers here, and we've got to get youth, we've got to get them involved. And so we can work with, up here in the Edmonton and the Grand Center, one, we have the children out there, they're doing the tours, and when they're talking about like flyers and stuff, we can probably ask the kids, you know, to deliver a couple of the flyers, if we get them engaged. Because a lot of our children, they don't know where food comes from. The first time my daughter saw banana on the tree, she went off. She said, "Mama," it broke my heart, because I didn't even make that correlation that she did not know that bananas come from a tree. So I'm thinking, just like the man was saying, was that we've got to get them back out there, get them involved, let them be a part of that conversation, and then we also utilize them to spread the word. Like it's harvesting day. So on the day when they harvest, we harvest on a Friday, and all of them get to take home back and get them really involved in the conversation, because as the adults in the room, we're doing all of the administrative stuff and, you know, talking to government and the powers that be, but then let's involve our children so they know that what we're doing is for them.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, just so you know, there is a GoFundMe page for the check it out. This morning. But that might.
And that's posted on the garden page.
If you check with Southside, keep you find out where they get their breast.
They're part of,
We give a share.
we give a share, so there's a lot of local farmers that support that, and they get it straight from the farms.
There are some things that they get from the garden
Yeah.
as well. They get it from other spaces. And there are also other ways that surplus food is taken to other places and other things. We did have a period for a few months where we just didn't have as much labor. in the garden, and that also contributed to some of that waste that Musa was talking about. But I will say, just to underscore what we were talking about, engagement is key. That's been the sort of recurring theme, right? And ultimately, it comes down to individuals taking responsibility. A lot of the say, well, we need to do this, we need to do that. Ultimately, we is you and I makes we. So, who's involved in those pieces? Jessica, there was one thing that you wanted to share?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that's kind of a part of why we're here, is we want to be a part of that. We want to help in any way we can. So if we can help pass that along, if we can make that sure that all of our kids know about it, help get walking around and we're walking our stuff around. That's part of kind of what I would love to see happen, and that's why we want to be part of this. Connecting both sides. So each other supporting each other's programs, and so yeah, give me anything and we'll get it to all of our families, and like I said, help get the word out as much as we can.
Flyers or information or anything, presentation, come down and bring them to the grant center. If you have ideas, we don't have it conceptualized yet. We help with, bringing it to fruition. We have a great marketing team, and we know a little bit about some marketing skills, where we kind of come up with a flyer or something that we put together. If you need help or just ideas to bounce off or whatever, please come down and give us a shout and see.
And, Sergeant Miller and I had already talked about that on the grant center. So we'll have our kids there to talk about as a part of engagement. You really hand in hand, but everything we have to do. So that was one thing we had also talked about. And I had asked it, so I can bring it up. And now that you all brought it in.
Absolutely. We are definitely, yeah.
Yeah, and we do have, I think the important thing to know is that resources are available. Whether they're labor resources from Parks and Rec with helping to get things out, whether it's volunteer resources, whether it's financial resources, which is what I want to talk about next. When we come together and put a plan together and put some intention and action towards that plan, there are resources available to make that happen. People that are handing out flyers don't just have to hand them out and get them for it. We can make sure that people are getting paid for that time. I mean, time is valuable, and this is an expensive city to live in, right? So, let's make sure that people are compensated for the stuff that they do. Yes.
Do you think that the after-school program can have some in the garden?
We've worked on that. We have worked on that in the past. It has had its challenges and its successes. We definitely want to continue that relationship. We've done garden-based programming, not just for the kids here, but also for the Grant Center kids. And they came up last summer, and they would spend the day in the garden with our garden team. So we're doing a lot of things to try and keep that connection, keep that opportunity going. But we'd love to see more kids involved. We'd
Yeah,
love
because
to
I
see
think
more.
last summer those kids, they harvested some berries and they took them home, and that was like, they grow strawberries and blueberries in the garden, so they were able to take stuff home. But like you said, it's had its share of challenges.
I'm just trying to understand where, like at one point, like the food from the garden, it was going in the kitchen. You remember, like, but this is way before COVID.
Yeah.
So we can't blame it on COVID.
No.
Yeah, we can't prepare
But it's just like, we're not able to utilize that kitchen.
So that's a whole different ballgame down there. The powers that be. Now,
they used to have family night. We had family engagement, and where some of the they had their strawberries, they had those rich salads, and all that.
Yeah, so that was in the program of creating opportunity. Not a big opportunity, so that in the kitchen, to
housing authority had possession of the kitchen, and we were doing the bills and going out to the residents. And then it shifted from that, the housing authority is not over the kitchen, so we give a share of nonprofit, so that's, has possession of the kitchen now. So all of those dynamics have changed, and it's not like how it used to be.
Mr. Hurd.
Is there a laminated sign down there that says food free to the public?
There's nothing like that, just the only signage that we have is the one that says, welcome to Southside Community Garden.
If we have a problem, people don't want to get the food, how about a sign laminated would make it waterproof? And the sign that would say food free for the public. Because people, the attention span, sometimes people forget.
Well, that's why we try to get it from behind the building, because not everybody comes to see.
Exactly.
And if we can get it out on Front Street and do a table right in front of the building, or down in front of the fire station, but to get it from behind here, where nobody really sees it, because it smells it every day. And put it out on the street. You know, I mean, like, even like when they were doing those COVID shops and stuff, and they were going around to the back, and they posted a sign right there, maybe if it's something that we could post a sign right there.
Absolutely.
Point the arrow right
Absolutely.
there.
Yeah.
But that has been done also.
Yeah.
That has been done.
And I mean, I think ultimately, many of these things need to just be, they need to continue. They need to continue. What we're talking about, like we are, as I was saying earlier, we're in the midst of some really, really serious issues here that are not going to be resolved in 1 or 2 meetings, right? Even just the topic of food security, we can have several meetings on that alone without getting into all the other very important topics to cover. Things are being done. We just have to continue that momentum, getting the vehicle to get the word out, working with the youth so that they're getting connected and bringing the next generation in, letting the community know, sharing food around us. All of those strategies are things that need to be done. And we just need more folks to be involved in it. Michelle?
I think if you get the word out, once the garden is in, you won't have any trouble. Remember, the cost of food is going down, and people will be happy to come and get it. We just have to make sure they get the information out and put it on Facebook.
Yeah, which we do, and we also, we have the ability to take SNAP and EBT for certain things as well, so that's another thing, yeah.
Once you put free on it, like you said, then you don't have to worry about it.
They'll be over you.
We still need to
Maybe
do some
they
work,
don't
because we have
know.
done that, but again, it's getting that out, letting enough people know about that, you know, so that's why I'm just saying, we all have to continue doing what we do and kind of turn it up a notch, right? So this is a little bit, yeah.
Last year, I think Atlanta comes 2 times a month.
Yeah, twice a month, but we get rid of also once a month.
Okay, so when they came 2 times a month, we took the houses out of the garden, we took it up to Atlanta, and they put it out with their regular thing. Not no hardship for it, so we would take it, and pretty much every time I took something, and they went, and I went back and looked at them. They took it and used it for supplement the argument. Yeah, but you think the board can really-
Yeah, we're gonna share a day with you all because there's no share.
Okay, so this is I do not think that we will have enough time to effectively cover this the way that I had hoped. However, I at least want to start the conversation and in the process, keep the discussion solution oriented, right? So this has to, so here's the can of worms, I'm gonna open it up and just throw it out there. So this has to do with Walton Street, has to do with the park and the food. There's been a lot of conversation, right, about what has been done, what hasn't been done, what needs to be done, what people say is being done, and whatsoever. One of the biggest things we're realizing in this space is not, the word is not getting out to everyone the way that it needs to be, right? It's been communicated by the city, especially recently. We know the history of what's going on, but recently the city has said, we have money to put towards making some changes in that area. Might not necessarily mean the pool's coming back, and that is sad. And at the same time, there's still money that can see some improvements in other ways, whether it's, getting some more equipment up there for the kids to play or doing some different things. They want community input, and there are funds available to support engaging the community and getting the word out. So we talked about one of the ways that people need to be notified. You got to go door to door, right? Well, there's money to pay people to go door to door, right? One of the things that is necessary to make sure that this is a successful thing, there needs to be someone who's invested in it, who has the time and energy to be like, okay, I need 5 people to help me. Y'all down, y'all coming? There's a coordinator. There's money to pay a coordinator to do this, all right? So what we need to do is identify at least one or more individuals who would take the lead, take the responsibility for bringing the community together, as many people from the community, housing residents, homeowners, anyone from in this space that should have input about what goes on in the park, in the pool, to bring them to either one or multiple meetings so that that input can be shared, given back to the city in a timely fashion, so that when they start doing the work up there, which they're going to do, what they're working on is informed by the city. Informed by the community, and not just what they come up with on their own.
Are they planning to put a new pool at the Grand Center? But then you don't need, we don't need it. But I suggest Robert Hardy is our.
And if I could just add one thing, we've had several meetings. We started here when we were doing input sessions and going around putting dots on boards and what we wanted to see. We did several sessions here. Then it followed up with the sessions that Keita mentioned, that we were in these groups and talked. But not one meeting did we go to the park and have a meeting about what's gonna take place there. And I honestly think that if they do an info session in the park, so you can see what you're gonna be working on. And I honestly think that it needs to be a few sessions up there of getting community input, catching people when they're up there. But
Think about the
whomever,
way that they go all out when it's an election year. You can't walk down the street without someone,
Right.
have you voted? Are you registered to vote? Do you know about this? They text you, they call you. That's the same kind of energy that we need for walking the street.
I think if they would be straight up, honest with us, that the pool was gonna move down there to the Grand Center. I didn't know people could down there to the Grand Center, I went to the block party, and the guy had the whole bulletin board up there, showed you every page, the gymnasium, everything. And I think, like you said, Terry, get the people together. We have a full house. It was packed. I was actually looking at on the website the other day, on some of those pictures. You're on. And I think it just, we lost the trust.
and then there were different people in positions that are no longer
Okay,
there.
you had, it's accountability. You had, higher people. And I think, I personally, if I asked repeatedly, I looked down here, they had the flyers at the Grand Center. They have all this stuff posted, everything. I looked down here, and I said, go to the website. Looking at the website, y'all just is updated. Get you down there at the Grand Center. Robert Ennis,
And I think I just lost the trust right there. So it's just like just to rebuild and reconnect is one of the things we're gonna have to be true. So we don't go back to same thing.
And that's why I think it's, like I said, it's important to engage a resident of the community. A lot of people are looking at Mr. Hardy and looking into this. A trusted member of the community that has the ability to engage people around this process and design a process that's going to get everybody's input. I know Charlotte, I also know Ms. Shirley had, I'm sure Ms. Shirley first and then Charlotte.
Have, we know it's gonna happen, that they gonna have a new pool. And I heard that 2 or 3 years ago. This is not me, talking about the pool. And, I want to correct something. Now, we had the big fundraiser. That was for the grant center, wasn't for the editing center, raise the roof. That was for the grant center. Could we take this as a positive and combine, if they move, if they're gonna move the pool, have like a peace party where we have art, you know, the mural for just folks downtown. We could do murals representing the people in this neighborhood, make it worth something that people want to go and have park benches, or have like a little stage when they have concerts and all. Make it art and garden instead. You already have the garden here, so you have flowers over there and art.
Yeah, I would want to.
So-
You got too many bags.
Well, hold on, I know, you got your hand up next.
Oh, yeah. So I just want us to be realistic and realize that systems work how they were designed. And they are designed, like, the powers that be dated a long time ago. And so some of these projections were like from 2 years ago. But by the time they got us on board and we thought it was fresh out the gate, they were ready to spend the money already, you know? So sometimes we kind of have to think of it through that way to say, it is planned, they already planned it. They just invited us to the table to say, to take a look. So it's like, it's one side to say, we can accept it for what it is and see how, what we can actually, because we're gonna be gone. So that if we get involved so that they can be a part of those murals, you know, so that they can be there, like, you know, laying down a brick so that the next generation has something to go down to. It's not all they're gonna have, it's just more of this trauma. Because like, when I talk to my friend, and she tells me about all the stuff that has happened, I think it literally blows my mind. To think that these conversations have been happening for so long, it's really heartbreaking. So that's what I'm thinking, is somehow involve you, let them be there, laying on the block. You know, when they walk, they can tell their grandchildren, if you walk around that corner, girl, I was the one that put that piece of steel right there. You know, look right there, needs to be signed something. Because if not, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. All of those are very valid things. Yeah.
Sometimes when I'm in this space, I'm just like, what is happening here?
Yeah.
Like, those are projections.
Yeah.
The ones they have for us is on the algorithm, if we use that, is that train at the station.
Yeah. Over here.
No, I'm just saying, like, he's making it out of art and flowers and stuff like that. And I know Asheville is art, but we have to have something deep. And I was thinking more of skating, something skating, or just, you know, asphalt skating. Let's do something different. Let's put sand over there, let's like some volleyball. I mean, let's.
That is a good idea. That's a good idea.
And so cultivating a space for that energy, right? That's what I'm talking about.
It could be a combination
With
of.
all of these people, bring your friends, and then bring your kids, bring everybody, and give folks an opportunity to share what they'd like to see, whether they speak it with their mouths, whether they draw it, whether they create a collage using different pictures or whatever, but at the end of the day, there's stuff that can be then taken back to the city to be like, this is what the residents of this community, this is what they want to see in their neighborhood. Now, City of Asheville, we want to hold you accountable for making that happen, right? Mr. Sutton.
doing my research, and I know a lot of people don't want to hear about urban renewal, they think it's over and it's over. But that's history that people should know, so we can understand where we are now, and we can stand better. But in my research, what I learned in the community, and I'm just gonna put it this way, we had people that agreed with what the city wanted to do. So I say yes people and no people. And the reality is what it is. So those yes people went and encouraged other people to sell your property. This is a good thing. So you had some people who went along with it and didn't understand the whole picture, what was actually happening. So you had people who lost their homes or sold their homes or didn't get the dollar lost and regretted it later. They never understood. I said to say, you mentioned the plan. The city plans out 20 years, 25 years. Okay, so by the time they get to us and say we get ready to do this, okay, it's time to do that. They've already planned it 25 years ago. Okay, so then they get to the point, okay, it's time to get the money from the government. We need to get the input, so we need to we had Southside United made an agreement for the food down to the bottom, so we can dot our eyes, cross our T's. So I'm saying all that to say, amongst each other, when we have these committees and these commissions, we have got to learn. Your voice, just because you say you agree, doesn't mean that the whole community agrees. My voice, just because I say I disagree, doesn't mean that the whole community disagrees. We have got to understand that, it's gonna be different. And we have got to make sure the city understands and not allow the city, other counties to pit us against one another, because that's been history. Okay, my thing is, yes, now we know they're gonna go ahead with the food. They knew they were going to food in the beginning. They found yes people that agreed, and they said, okay, we're not gonna meet with them anymore, because they already signed a petition, and we know they don't want it. So let's get some yes people to say, okay, we want it. Okay, so we know the food is gonna go down there. They have the money. They're gonna go down there. So why not try to get an understanding of why the people are saying no? For me, and I'm gonna speak for me, my no was the time of everything being taken away from our community. So when you put the food down there, for one thing, when you put it down there, okay, what's the rest of the plan? We know the food is going down there. Then what's gonna happen 5, 10 years from now? What else is going down there? What else are we doing? Is the public housing gonna be like it just did in Walker House? What's really going on down there? That's the first thing. The second thing is, now what are you gonna do with this property up here? Are you just gonna take it, get rid of it? Is ADK gonna get it? Because we do know that ADK commission were at one point in time going at it, who's gonna get it, so now they're talking apartments. So are they gonna get that property? What's gonna happen with it?
Well,
Is it gonna completely be wiped away, and now when you look around, you can't even tell that black folks live in the area?
Well, what I can say, Ms. Priscilla, is while that definitely is an option, that definitely is a possibility. What is also a possibility is this group of individuals and others joining forces, getting stronger, and cementing power so that nothing can happen in this community without the input of the individuals in this space. And that is, I recognize the hurt and the pain that's been caused in the past, and that's nothing that can be easily forgotten. Obviously, these conversations are continuing. And at the same time, the opportunity exists right here, right now. And as Ms. Shirley and others were talking about, utilizing art to work a new vision for the park and the pool, honoring that story of how this used to be a space that the community wanted, and it is just the memory of that space, because things like chronicling that can be the result of this input, so that it's not lost for future.
So right now, we're saying the pain, we're looking at what's being done. We want to preserve. It's about preservation. People coming together, everybody's voice being heard, and coming up with solutions that's gonna impact, and include everyone.
And And that's what the whole process is about, making sure that it's properly honored and it's got everyone's input on it.
It has been rumored that AB Tech want to come through the car and bring the drive right next door to my daughter. So,
My neighbor, I'm sure you've been getting a little.
I'm telling you, right next door, right next door to my daughter's house. So what I'm saying, y'all talking about a skating ring, a softball field, they can build a concrete wall. We can paint murals about people who live over in this area. We can have a garden, you can do a combination. If you come up with some plans, then they're gonna have to listen to you. If you don't have a plan, they're gonna do whatever they want to do. So let's try to make it positive out of it. But we keep hearing, I don't know if it's gonna happen. They were talking about the traffic for AB Tech and Oakland Road, and they keep talking about coming through the park. And when they come through, my daughter lives right here, and they talking about the road right there. We don't want that. And so, and this is not, what you heard, but we talking about where we live.
Right.
So you gotta stay one step ahead of them. You come up with some ideas and they gotta listen to you. They talking about racial equity. If they gonna move the park and the pool, then we need to have them design so you have some little benches for concrete walls and do mirrors, some plant flowers. We already got a garden over there. Fix a little stage if they wanna have a family reunion or community picnic. But we still keep hearing this myth about coming through where we are, that there's a well or something right there at the end of our street. I don't know if they gave it good or they will have to move over. But we've heard this for 2 or 3 years or longer. They want to come through Walton. They make it easy to get to AB Tech.
Okay, you know what, and that can even happen, if they want, you know, because I'm learning to be open-minded and try to see how more than one can, walk away, you know, with something. How would you, okay, so they want to do a road, okay, do a road, but that property you got right there, let's set it up where we can, build small businesses. You got a road, okay, the road is turn, I don't know if you're to the small business, black owned business. You understand what I'm
Right.
saying? We gotta learn how to negotiate, not just sit back and say, okay, yeah, I agree, you know, we gotta get something out of it, stop letting the city and the county, because we are being taxed. Take from the black community, pushing us out, like we never did this, we don't have a voice. We gotta start, coming together, and seeing how we can benefit from these changes.
And so on that note, because I want to respect the time and we have reached the point where it's supposed to be the end of the meeting, but I want to also allow Sheriff to take their place to share. Before we end this conversation, a lot of great ideas have been expressed. I think the conversation is just beginning. Are there 1 or 2 people who will be willing to step up and take responsibility to move this process forward, to be something of a coordinator, to bring their ideas and ensure that the things that we talked about today continue and there's some action to them? And like I said, there is money available so that you're not being asked to do this for free. But we need someone from in this space, somebody that you know, Mr. Hardy, Ms. Priscilla.
But I don't want to be the lead, I'll help you.
I know. Because I mean, I'm sitting here, that urban renewal property is all rock, so why couldn't we add it?
And here's the thing, the support you're getting is to design the process the way that you think the community is gonna best respond. So you wanna make sure the community understands that, you're the boss. You're the one that's determining how that whole process goes.
I'll let you and Robert coach you. One do farm, y'all work together.
I'm gonna property now, you might go
But Mr. Hart, I read you guys in the words of Whitney, that's another way, and the words of Tupac, I ain't had. But I explain to these young people here, that y'all speak from a different perspective, and I dare not, at the last Zoom meeting we had, I said, now I want to speak about it. I wanted to comment that Mrs. Whiteside was exactly correct. Regardless if you're going to speak to the people downtown, you got them there and now the basic parliamentary procedure, they'll talk right over your ear or push you in a corner somewhere and not hear. Because if you don't understand procedure, I had an individual that was on with a group called Voices of Parents at the school board meeting. And although he was emotional about what he was saying, Pop James ended up being barred from the meeting because he didn't follow procedure. Now that was one of my things. And my speaking of it, when you first, when the young lady, Ronnie's daughter, first started, I said, I'm here to make sure that the knowledge stays around. See, I don't need the computer. I got paperwork here that says what? Whose name on there is the city of Athens? I got the paperwork here that the mayor said tens of millions of dollars in transportation money are being used to overhaul the river district, make Ministry Street, which runs through one of the poorest neighborhoods, safer and more inviting for pedestrians and bicyclists. The bonds, which are split into three separate voting issues, will boost transportation, affordable housing, and parks. Now, I'm not gonna let them go. See, y'all don't want me necessarily, I'm not letting it go. See, I know I play political games and put it out there. I'm not gonna use my words. I'm gonna use theirs. Here's a letter that I typed, dated August the 16th, 2017, to Mr. Gary Jackson, City of Asheville, North Carolina, Mr. Roger Simmons, Director of Parks and Recreation, from the further Southside Reconstruction for what the people were asked. Where did they want the pool? It was no question about the pool needed to be replaced. I sent this to the city manager, to the mayor, and to the assistant mayor, Mr. Nicholas Smith. Our professional conclusion is that Walden Street Pool has seen its life used. Even though the filtration turnover requirements are to current standards, the design of the gutter and aquatics are in poor disarray. The pool is structurally deficient and is allowing notable water loss throughout the season. My professional opinion is not to put more money in the current pool, but continue a plan for a new pool facility. Our recommendation for the near future is to develop a plan for construction of a new pool that will meet the needs of the community, that is designed to current health department and ADA code compliance. Furthermore, the part that they missed out was that if the pool was not open for a season, then the health department will likely deny reopening without a complete renovation. This is what it took care. They closed the school for a season, so it fell into the guideline, and because you didn't have the knowledge or the procedure, so they knew all the time. They can't. I got the paperwork. It depends on which one I pick up. Yes.
Can you and I agree, just as we asked to be on, to take this Walking Street Park, you and I join forces, and we'll sit down and talk about that, and I'll share some time that I have, so that we can move on and ensure
Okay,
you and I
Yeah.
Can we agree?
Well, the one thing, one thing I'm saying is that.
He
my-
said
I'm gonna
yes.
be in because I'm.
We agree, right?
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
All right, okay.
Thank you, thank you. Sheriff Bill, you want to close this out?
Get it, get it.
I hope.